I've released Polygon V2 a few days ago, so this is the first video where I will give a rough description of what has changed and how to use it basically. So when you arrive here, the first thing you want to do is go to the demo. That's the easiest way to try it, and you can go to examples, and there is a few scenes which you can play with to give you an idea of how to create material, how to create physics, and a few different things. There is only a handful of scenes at this stage. There will be many more. This is just a starting point. But before showing you any examples, I want to show you the very basics on how to create and update a 3D scene. So right now what we have in the default scene is just a box. You can move it around, you can rotate the camera, and you can change the intensity of the light. That is pretty much it. What is useful to know is how you can add or remove objects, and there is this concept of those output nodes. So right now I only have a box or a camera because we have nodes that are plugged into those output nodes, and the camera node creates a camera, the box creates a box, box node creates a box. So you generally have a node that creates an object. Now if that box was not connected to the output node, we still have the node, but we don't have the object in the scene. So it's important to understand that you can have a node in your node scene, but that does not mean that you're going to have the object in the scene graph or the object scene. And one way to be sure of what things exist in case they are not visible in the camera, or they might be too tiny, or they might be behind the camera, is to look at the scene graph. Here you can see what has been created by the nodes. So here we can see the camera, we can see our light. If I was to unplug this, well, we don't have anything at all. So I'm going to put this back. I'm going to put this back. And let's say I want to add another object, let's say a plane. So I create the plane node, but I don't have the plane in the scene. So what I can do is I can replace it, and I have just a plane, but I have a plane now, but I've lost the box. So one way to have both is to have a merge node, and now I can plug those, and I have both together, and I need to increase the size of the plane to see both. So now I have both nodes, they both go to the merge node, that goes into the output node, and I can see in the scene graph here and in the viewport that both are present. And that is pretty much the most important thing to know. The reason as well I've changed in Polygon, you had this concept of a display flag, which was closer to what Houdini does, where you display a specific node in a network, and that node is what populates your scene. Here I went with something that is closer to a software called Nuke, which is a compositing software, where it allows you to do interesting things, like you have multiple inputs to your output node, and we can leverage that by, let's say I want to connect this one, so I have two inputs to my output node, and depending on what the input is, I can select only one of those. So I can at any point decide, oh, I want my scene to have just one box, or I want my scene to have the box and the plane. And of course this example is very bare bones. This type of feature of switching what you want to display makes sense when you want to compare large changes, let's say lighting changes, or when you want to compare material change in a big object where you want to tweak something and you want to quickly compare two different things, which is how compositors use it in Nuke as far as I know. So you want to quickly compare different things. Now what you can do as well when you have multiple objects in the multiple nodes in the output node is not just having to select the node and change the input index. That is not the most convenient thing. You have shortcut for that. So if I was to say I want to compare two different scenes, Again, we're going to remain in a very, very simple thing, but let's say I want to offset one object. So I will take the object of index 0 and I will just move just the box, not the plane, and I will put this here and this one to the second. I can always basically compare by pressing 1 or 2 which scene I like and my layout of all the objects that I like. And by the way, I press 1 and 2 to switch between those two objects, but I can also select any node, press 1, and it will be the one selected. So I can press this one, press 2, and now when I have nothing selected, I can press 1 and 2 and switch between those two. So I can press this one, press 2 here, and I go back to, if I make sure I don't have anything selected, I can, which is a mistake I keep doing, then I can keep switching like this in the viewport and compare different things.